This is ESPN Esports. I'm Ardo Cal. Happy to be joined by Clayster, the Dallas Empire, now two-time tournament weekend winners in the Call of Duty League, one LAN, one online, leading the way in the Call of Duty League standings. Clay, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
First thing to mention, actually, a little bit of breaking news, so to speak. You tweeted about the possible playoff format for the Call of Duty League. Just to catch everybody up in case they hadn't seen your tweet, you said since it got leaked already, there is a point for all of these league matches. At Champs playoffs, the first and second seed get a 2-round bye. Third and fourth get a 1-round bye. 5 to 8 play each other first round in winners, and 9 to 12 start in losers. So the big news here is that every single team makes the playoffs. What was your initial reaction to that?
I think it was the best of a bad situation that the COD League had to work with, and I honestly think this is probably the best solution they could come up with. I mean, this isn't something they just like threw on us. This is something that they kind of like came to us and asked, like, "Hey, do you guys like this? Is this an acceptable solution?" And so it's one of the things where it seems a little weird because every team makes it, and that wasn't the case before. So I know some people are going to be like, "Well, what's the point of all these homestands?" But they wanted to make sure there was some advantage for getting a good seed and some disadvantages for having a bad seed. So I think if you really look at 12-team brackets without having like a round robin group or something like that, this is the best solution. And it's honestly the one that I think all of the players and the organizations agreed, like, this is probably the best way to go about things. So, yeah, I'm not sure if that was all public information, but I saw that somebody leaked it on stream last night. So I feel like, oh, okay, if somebody else leaked it, I can go ahead and talk about it. Because we've all known this for a couple weeks now, ever since we moved online. So, we've just been trying to gun for that top seed.
So let's just continue the conversation, assuming this is exactly the case. One thing that people talked about when they saw this format was, well, what if you're Dallas, you come in first in the league and you get a 2-round bye, and now you're playing a team who's had more reps in the playoffs, and they're not a cold team, and you guys are playing your first game in the winter semis, and you're not revved up yet. Like, how do you, where would you rather be? Would you rather be a team that's had a couple of games under your belt before playing those big teams, or would you rather be the team that gets the 2-round bye but going in cold?
I think that's actually a pretty tough question. I mean, if I could choose to have 2 matches and be in the same spot as the first seed with 2 matches under my belt, I'd probably rather take that just because you've gotten the reps in, you're warm, you're ready to go. But that's taking into account that like the wins are guaranteed, which they definitely are not. And I'm always of the opinion less matches are better, less chances to lose is better. And so we're gunning for that number 1, number 2 seed to make sure we cut down on the amount of matches that we could potentially lose. And it's going to be on those top seeds to make sure that they are appropriately warmed up and ready to go. I mean, you need to have some scrims set up before the match, and you need to make sure you're going tournament intensity and almost even playing the scrimmages as if it was the tournament. And that's something that's kind of difficult in Call of Duty. You can't exactly replicate how a tournament match feels. So it's definitely going to be on the team that is a first or second seed to make sure they're appropriately warmed up and ready to go. Because I definitely see the downside of, if a team started in, say, the first round and they've won 2 matches and now they're playing you, it's going to be tough to beat them. I mean, in Call of Duty's history, if you're in the winners finals and you lose, the team that's making that losers bracket run is like gonna beat you most times. Like a team that's kind of like making their run and they're on a hot streak, like most of the time they're gonna beat that team that just came fresh off a loss. So it's a bit different since you're not going to be coming fresh off of a loss. You're just going to be starting there. So it's maybe the mentality is a little different. Instead of just being like, oh man, we just lost the match. This team's on a run. It's going to be hard to beat. It's more like, no, we're a top seed. They had to make a run to even play us. So maybe the mentality will be a little different, but honestly, it's just going to be one of those things where we're going to have to wait and see how it pans out because it's pure speculation from me. I mean, the top 2 seeds could end up getting smoked and, all this is irrelevant. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I know you mentioned this a little bit on the podcast with Nameless, but I want to ask you the 3 different scenarios here because now Dallas has won a LAN tournament, Dallas has won an online tournament, and then there's the World Championship at the end of the year, right? So which of those 3 count as chips, if at all, in your opinion?
Yeah, I've answered this question quite a few times over the past couple of days. And the one thing I keep saying is like it's opinionated. Like if you want to count it as a chip, go for it. Like there's nothing really stopping you from counting it as a championship. And if you really think it counts, then go ahead and count it. And I don't think anybody's gonna really fault you for that because you're playing the best teams in the world. They're all trying to win just as hard as you are. So like in the end, the competition is there. Everyone's trying to win these tournaments. And maybe in my mind at least, it kind of has to be on LAN, especially in this day and age for it to really count as a championship for me. I mean, I've been doing this since 2008, pretty much. I've won plenty of online tournaments, plenty of offline tournaments, and it's one of the things where I definitely would count the LA event that we won to my championship total, and hopefully this COVID stuff is kind of relaxed a little bit, and everything's kind of on an upwards trend to where champs will be able to be offline and on a LAN environment. So yeah, hopefully we get to play, the biggest tournament of the year on LAN, and that's really what we're looking forward to, even if it's something where we all just there's no spectators or something. So, it can count, it cannot. It really just depends on what people think. And honestly, if you ask all the other pros, they're trying just as hard as you are to win these tournaments. These points matter. The money matters. I mean, the check cashes the same way, whether if it's online or offline.
Mm.
And I really think a lot of people overlook that. So really, it's just personal opinion. And I might not count the online one as a pure major championship, but I definitely count the LA one we won.